GOAT. No, no, no. Not a goat, but the GOAT. The greatest of all time. The most divisive word today. Michael Jordan. Or LeBron James. Cristiano Ronaldo. Or Lionel Messi. Michael Jackson or Prince. Tupac or Biggie. Drake or Kendrick Lamar. The greatest of all time debate is one of the most intense debates that sparks a war of words in different online communities as they champion the one person they believe has achieved GOAT status in their respective field. From rap to soccer. But what about wrestling? Who is the GOAT of all GOATs? If you would like to find out what I think, then you've clicked on the right video. For this video, I'm listing who I believe are the 5 greatest wrestlers of all time. I'll be listing these giants of the wrestling world based on their following criteria: their ability to draw audiences, the influence they've had on the business and outside of it, and lastly, their individual popularity in their respective eras of wrestling. Just so you know, I'll be listing wrestlers who wrestled for WWE. I do things differently on this channel, so my list will go from first to last. Number 1. The wrestling GOAT can be none other than Hulk Hogan. I know Terry is disliked by some out there for things he said or done, but the character Hulk Hogan is legendary, one worthy of GOAT status. Hulk Hogan reached his prime way before my time. When he was selling out arenas and stadiums, I wasn't even born yet. Just like I wasn't around to watch many of the men on this list at their absolute best. But the great thing is that a GOAT transcends time. Their star power lives on long after they've hung up their boots, and Hulk Hogan is that type of character. Hulk was part of the golden era of wrestling. You could argue he was the golden era of wrestling, the face of the wrestling boom in the 80s, and he was because the WWF positioned him as such. The man was a mega babyface, probably the biggest babyface in WWE history. I've watched back many pay-per-views from that era, and anytime the man's music hit, the pop was deafening. His matches drew thousands upon thousands to arenas and millions watching around the world. WrestleMania 3 is the best example of Hulk's sheer popularity at the time. The attendance record from that WrestleMania stood for many years until it was broken 5 years ago in Dallas. His star shined so bright, the world's largest entertainment industry couldn't ignore it. In fact, they wanted some of it. Hulk went Hollywood, and thus the template for many wrestlers that would follow was set. Because of Hulk Hogan, a wrestler's career doesn't have to end in the ring. Even though he didn't completely follow a career as a marquee name in Hollywood, he set the standard to what a wrestling GOAT should be. Number 2 on the list is the styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun, the Nature Boy, Slick Rick himself, Ric Flair. I'm sure many of you expected this GOAT on this list, but maybe not at number 2. The choice to put Hulk over this absolute legend was really difficult, trust me. For all the hip hop fans watching this, you cannot doubt that this man is the originator of drip and flexing. He was flexing way before many rappers knew what it meant. In terms of wrestling, if Hulk was arguably the biggest babyface in the 80s, Ric Flair was the biggest heel of the time. People bought tickets and filled up arenas to see Ric Flair get his butt kicked. The man was so good, he didn't even need to play a character because Ric Flair was exactly what he was in real life. The man became the myth, and I can't think that at this point, probably fans paid to lay their eyes on the Nature Boy, to breathe the same air as him, to witness for themselves the greatness of Ric Flair. Ric was one of the few that didn't need WWE to make a name for himself. WWE needed him more than he needed them. Ric Flair was an attraction, a once-in-a-lifetime character that has been imitated but never replicated. His influence went beyond the wrestling world and spilled over into hip-hop and sports. The Woo has become the most recognizable and most used catchphrase from any wrestler ever. He wasn't just a great wrestling personality in his prime, but a master of his art as well. He was no slouch in the ring, and the proof is in the many great matches he's had with equally great wrestlers. Ric Flair isn't just a wrestling GOAT, he is a pop culture icon. At number 3 is the Rattlesnake, the man born to drink beer and raise hell, Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can't say Attitude Era without thinking Stone Cold. He was the poster boy for WWE's edgy programming in the late 90s, and somewhat they may argue that he was the inspiration for it all. You know, Austin 316. To this day, if you put the name Stone Cold on the card, you are guaranteed a packed arena without a doubt. His ability to draw can never be questioned. The man had millions of viewers tuning in weekly to Monday Night Raw to see what he would do next. This was despite him and WWF having formidable competition in WCW. Every wrestling fan around the world has smashed 2 bottles of something together like Steve Austin. Such was the power of his influence. In his prime, the man's popularity was immense. If for some reason you don't believe this and want evidence, find a compilation every time the glass shattered for his entrances right here on YouTube. The Stunner is one of the best known wrestling moves worldwide, and the man has had such an influence on us fans and the wrestling industry that we compare any edgy anti-establishment character in modern wrestling to him. This is proof of the massive impact Stone Cold has had on the business. One thing we all know for sure though is that there will never, ever be another Stone Cold Steve Austin. The most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment comes in at number 4 on this list. The Rock went from fans chanting "Die Rocky Die" to being the biggest draw in Hollywood. The Rock's story is an amazing one, but proves if one is determined enough, they too can achieve GOAT status. The Brahma Bull had the look, the physique, the charisma, and most importantly, the best promo skills. The man could cut a promo about a brick and still make it entertaining. His popularity as an active wrestler was massive, but since becoming a certified movie star, I can safely say he has become a household name. My 1-year-old brother knows who he is and says his name all the time. He hasn't even learned how to speak properly yet. 4 million viewers tuned in for SmackDown's premiere on Fox, and I'm bold enough to say that was because of The Rock. He was the one person on that show that I wanted to see as well. He has been getting people to tune in to WWE since the Attitude Era. SmackDown hasn't reached the numbers that it hit since the premiere, and that's proof of how insanely popular The Rock has become. He is the one wrestler that took Hulk's template for transitioning into Hollywood and executed it to perfection. He was born into the wrestling business being a third-generation wrestler, but instead of relying on his family's prestigious name, he trailblazed his own lane and eyebrow-raised his way to the top echelon of not only sports entertainment, but entertainment full stop. If you've reached this part of the video, thank you so much for watching till this point, and while you're here, please subscribe. Let me know what you think about the list in the comments, and also include your personal top 5 GOATs of wrestling. Okay, this last man being on this list is going to garner lots of hate, but I don't care. Number 5 and the last man on my top 5 GOAT list is John Cena. I feel like at the height of his career, Cena was the most hated babyface in the company, maybe ever. In a way, I think the hate pushed Cena to prove his haters wrong. If you're still one of those that believe Cena can't wrestle, stop this video and go watch his matches with the likes of AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and even Kevin Owens. And you can't deny that his promo skills are up there with the best on this list. John Cena literally carried the company on his back for more than a decade, and in that time he became the face of the company. Whether people hated him or loved him, he did what he was supposed to do as the figurehead of a huge promotion. He sold tickets. I would argue that John Cena single-handedly ushered in WWE's PG era. He was the definition of family friendly. Whether or not this transition into family-orientated programming was good or bad for business is a story for another video. It's only now in his absence that many wrestling fans realize what a true talent John Cena is. His popularity outside WWE is skyrocketing as he has also transitioned into making movies, something that he ironically criticized The Rock for doing during their legendary feud. During his tenure, he sold the most merch and impacted many children's lives with a record number of Make-A-Wishes granted. There are people who don't even watch wrestling, or have ever sat down to watch it in their lives, who recognize the name John Cena. They've never seen him, but they definitely know the name. This alone has earned him the right, in my eyes, to be included among the wrestling greats. This is Ring Banter. I'm Kat, the African Mug, and thank you again for watching, everyone. Please help grow this channel and hit the subscribe button so you can pat yourself one day when this channel blows up. For my next video, I'll be discussing why Brock Lesnar is underrated. Remember to leave a like, and as always, peace.